Hello everyone, welcome back to Cat's Writing and Reading Nook. It is Friday night. So today we're going to be looking at the Unicornis Manuscripts by Michael Green. Let's see if I can show you without it shining all over. Look at that. This one's really interesting because it is a work of fiction. But let me emphasize that. But kind of like the found footage genre or subgenre in film, it's a found manuscript or manuscripts. So it looks very much like something you would find from medieval literature. Like if you went to a museum and you just found it there, right? It looks like that. And I'll show you some of the illustrations in a minute, but it's beautiful. But as the author has said very adamantly, it is a work of fiction. It is a fabrication. Hi, Belle. But she might be on pest patrol. But our story starts with a present-day researcher, actually from 1982, but a researcher who gets an invitation from, there are a couple different names here, the Collegium Gnosticum, an order of monks that adhere to Gnostic teachings. And you can go look up Gnosticism. I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But they've, part of their work includes keeping these teachings about unicorns. And so the researcher actually gets to look at the manuscripts and this unicorn horn that they have. And then the story launches into the manuscripts themselves, which include writings from the order's founder, Master Magnalucius, and those include just tidbits from his everyday life and encounters with unicorns, as well as the lore and teachings surrounding the unicorns. It's very fascinating. And then let me find some really cool looking ones, right? This. The author, or someone, it may be him, it may not be, created this. And this. Like, they're gorgeous. Like, the illustrations really make the story. And apparently have sold the story so well that he's actually, Michael Green has had to tell hundreds of people since this came out that no, this is a fabrication, it is fiction. So you know that the level of detail and care that he gave to this work are top-notch. And so I loved reading you know, his take on the lore surrounding unicorns and his faithfulness to pointing to truth that's outside of what we tend to see in the natural world in which we live. And don't come to this for your theology, like that's not what this is about, but it does open your eyes some to different possibilities within the broader world. And I would say this is probably for middle school on up, in part because, well, really mainly because it is difficult to discern truth from fiction, and he sounds very knowledgeable and understanding, which, I mean, obviously he's done research and he understands philosophy and that sort of a thing. Excuse me. But you need to be able to discern fact from fiction when you're reading this, and understand that this is a work of fiction, and while there may be threads of truth, yeah. Though, I mean, like, he's accidentally fooled adults, so take that as you will. But it is a pretty accessible work. It has some beautiful illustrations, and you can take it in bits and pieces as needed. You know, some of the sections are longer than others, but for the most part, they're not usually more than a page or two. And if you love fantasy, if you enjoy historical fiction, unicorns, obviously, you know, really cool illustrations and philosophical discussion, this, and if you enjoy creation myths, like, there's some of that in there too. So, would highly recommend. And if you're a teacher, you might put this in your classroom library. It's fantastic. But I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about next week. So the story that I'm going to be reviewing, where's it at? There's it at. Is a hard left from what I normally review, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, not fantasy? Well, no, because I've done historical fiction. It's horror. It's Stephen King, who I haven't enjoyed much of anything that I've picked up from him, though to be fair, I've only picked up like 2, maybe 3 books by him. But Carrie is the one that I've actually read and kind of enjoyed. I'm not really sure how to describe the emotions that I have surrounding Carrie, except I find it fascinating, and there are some reasons that I like it, and there are some reasons that I find it fascinating. Those are not one and the same, believe it or not. But for those of you who are not familiar with the story, here's a taste. Carrie may be picked on by her classmates, but she has a gift. She can move things with her mind. Doors lock, candles fall. This is her power and her problem. Then, an act of kindness, as spontaneous as the vicious taunts of her classmates, offers Carrie a chance to be a normal, until an unexpected cruelty turns her gift into a weapon of horror and destruction that no one will ever forget. Whew. like, you read this? Yep, I read this. And I will say that it chilled me more than it scared me. And you're like, what's the difference? I'm gonna explain it. All right, I will see y'all next Friday. I've got a few posts coming up in the next week, so keep an eye out for those. And I will see y'all on Friday. Happy reading, everybody.